Well, the Prime Minister is currently delivering an address. Let's just listen in to what he has to say.
Excellencies, today we see global optimism and confidence in the Indian economy. India is seen as a combination of openness, opportunities, and options. During the last 9 years, India has become the 5th largest global economy. This is the result of our sustained efforts. We embarked on the journey of reform, perform, and transform in 2014. We have increased competitiveness and enhanced transparency. We have expanded digitization and promoted innovation. We have established dedicated freight corridors and built industrial zones. We have moved away from red tape to red carpet and liberalized FDI flows. Initiatives like Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat have given a boost to manufacturing. Above all, we have brought policy stability. We are committed to make India the 3rd largest global economy in the next few years. Friends, current global challenges, from the pandemic to geopolitical tensions, have tested the world economy. At G20, it is our responsibility to rebuild confidence in international trade and investments. We must build resilient and inclusive global value chains that can withstand future shocks. In this context, India's proposal to create a generic framework for mapping global value chains is important. This framework aims to assess vulnerabilities, minimize risks, and enhance resilience. Excellencies, technology's transformative power in trade is undeniable. India's shift to an online single indirect tax, the GST, helped create a single internal market boosting interstate trade. Our unified logistic interface platform makes trade logistics cheaper and more transparent. Another game changer is open network for digital commerce, which will democratize our digital marketplace ecosystem. We have already done that with our unified payments interface for payment systems. Digitizing process and use of e-commerce have the potential to enhance market access. I am glad that your group is working on the high-level principles for the digitization of trade documents. These principles can help countries in implementing cross-border electronic trade measures and reduce compliance burdens. As cross-border e-commerce continues to grow, there are challenges as well. We need to work collectively to ensure equitable competition between large and small sellers. We also need to address the problem faced by consumers in fair price discovery and grievance handling mechanism. Excellencies, India believes in a rule-based, open, inclusive, multilateral trading system with the WTO at its core. India has advocated the concerns of the Global South at the 12th WTO Ministerial Conference. We were able to forge consensus on safeguarding the interests of millions of farmers and small businesses. We must pay more attention to MSMEs, given their key role in the global economy. MSMEs account for 60 to 70% of employment and contribute 50% of the global GDP. They need our continued support. Their empowerment translates to societal empowerment. For us, MSME means maximum support to micro, small and medium enterprises. India had integrated MSMEs into public procurement through our online platform, Government e-Marketplace. We have been working with our MSME sector to adopt the ethos of zero defect and zero effect on the environment. Increasing their participation in global trade and global value chains has been a priority of the Indian presidency. The proposed Jaipur initiative to foster seamless flow of information to MSMEs will address the challenge of inadequate access to market and business-related information faced by MSMEs. I am also confident that the upgrade of the Global Trade Help Desk will increase participation of MSMEs in global trade. Excellencies, it is our collective responsibility as one family to restore confidence in international trade and investment processes. I am confident that you will work collectively to ensure that the global trading system gradually transitions into more representative and inclusive future. I wish you all success in your deliberations. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, that was the Prime Minister at the G20 Trade and Investment Ministerial meeting. He said, our region is known for the dynamic and enterprising people. Throughout history, trade has led to an exchange of ideas, culture and technologies. It has brought people closer, and trade and globalization have lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. The Prime Minister said, we see global optimism and confidence in the Indian economy. India is seen as a combination of openness, opportunities and options, is what the Prime Minister said. And during the last 9 years, India has become the 5th largest economy, which is a result of our sustained efforts. With that, let's turn our attention now to the Chandrayaan-3 mission. Amid huge cheers in the war room of ISRO in Bengaluru and the celebrations across the country, India scripted history by becoming the first nation to land the Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft on the moon's south pole. Now, this propels India to the elite space club, one of only 4 countries to land on the moon. The touchdown took place at 6:04 p.m. yesterday, as we had covered, and at around 9:50 in the night on Thursday, the rover Pragyan began to roll out of the Vikram lander.
Sir, we have achieved soft landing on the moon. India is on the moon. Honorable Prime Minister called me and conveyed his greetings to each one of you and your family for the wonderful work you did in ISRO. Thanks are to him for the support that he is giving to us for missions like Chandrayaan-3 and the missions that are in the offing. I want to tell you, and I want to thank you also for each and everyone who prayed with us in the last many days, who wanted this success to happen in ISRO. I thank all those people in all around the country and maybe beyond the country for their blessings and wishes and affection that he has given to each one of us for doing this work for the last so many years.
For this success, we have been waiting for last 4 years, and this success is a sweet news for us, and not only for us, but for the entire nation. And I would say that congratulations to the whole Indian people for the wonderful success of this Chandrayaan-3 mission.
Now, with the soft touchdown, India becomes the first country to land a probe at the moon's south pole, where ice could provide water, oxygen and fuel for future missions. The Prime Minister witnessed ISRO's success from Johannesburg, where he was attending the BRICS summit. This is what he said.
India is now on the moon. Friends, on this joyous occasion, I would like to address all the people of the world, the people of every country and region. India's successful moon mission is not just India's alone. Our approach of one earth, one family, one future is resonating across the globe. This human-centric approach that we present and that we represent has been welcomed universally. Our moon mission is also based on the same human-centric approach. We can all aspire for the moon and beyond. मेरे परिवारजनों, चंद्रयान महाअभियान के ये उपलब्धि भारत की उड़ान को चंद्रमा की कक्षाओं से आगे जाएगी.
Meanwhile, Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge and several others across the political spectrum have cheered India's success. Listen.
चंद्रयान-3 की सफलता प्रत्येक भारतीय की सामूहिक सफलता है. हम सब के लिए गर्व की बात है. 140 करोड़ भारतीयों ने अपने 6 दशक पुराने अंतरिक्ष कार्यक्रम में आज एक और उपलब्धि देखी. हम अपने वैज्ञानिकों, स्पेस इंजीनियर्स, रिसर्चर्स और इस मिशन को सफल बनाने में शामिल सभी लोगों की लगन, कड़ी मेहनत और समर्पण को सलाम करते हैं.
And to better understand what's next for Chandrayaan-3, we will be joined by Professor Dibyendu Nandi, Head of the Centre of Excellence in Space Sciences, and D. Raghunandan, researcher from the Delhi Science Forum. But first, let's just listen in to Pallav Bagla's report.
Well, the excitement is always over the top, but life has to go on. The moon rose yesterday. The sun has risen today. The moon looked beautiful yesterday. Now, what I can confirm for you is very, very big. India's Pragyan rover has now rolled out and is on the lunar surface. Amazing news. India becomes the first country in the world to not just send a lander onto the nearer the south pole of the moon, but also to send a rover out onto the lunar surface. I spoke to Shri S. Somanath, the chairman of the Indian Space Research Organization, and he confirmed to me that now the Pragyan rover and the Vikram lander are both healthy, both are on the moon surface, and very soon we should get images of the Vikram and the Pragyan from the lunar surface. He also confirmed to me that the science has already begun on the lunar surface. So this is the news we have been waiting for. Yesterday, when the Vikram landed, that was one bit. Amazing development. India became the fourth country to land on the lunar surface, first on the nearer the south pole. But now to have a rover onto the surface nearer the south pole means India will be able to get amazing science from the lunar surface. That is the big news, that the Pragyan rover is there out there. Now, let me explain that a little further. What it means is, now India has two independent robotic objects on the lunar surface. One is the Vikram lander, the other is the Pragyan rover. Now, the Pragyan rover will look at the elemental composition of the lunar surface. Vikram also will do science. Let me also explain how each will talk to the other. Pragyan communicates with the lander, so that is how it is tethered, essentially with radio communication. Vikram can speak directly to Bangalore in the mission control. Vikram can also speak to the orbiter of Chandrayaan-3, and all of this data finally comes back to the Mission Operations Center in Bangalore. So overnight, when we saw the first images of the ramp opening up on Vikram and the rover gently trying to make its way out, overnight that process ended, and the Pragyan rover, and Pragyan means knowledge, is out onto the lunar surface, untethered from Vikram. So what an amazing feeling to have not just one but two objects on the lunar surface and two orbiters in the moon orbit. We have the Chandrayaan-2 orbiter which is working, and the propulsion module which continues to work in the moon orbit. So two orbiters in the moon orbit and two objects on the lunar surface. You asked me whether I slept or not. Amazing. It's very hard to live that moment when India scripted history by reaching the moon. It is an amazing moment for the country, but not just India, the world is celebrating this particular moment. And I spoke to the ISRO chairman, Sri S. Somanath, and let me explain. Somanath means Lord of the Moon. That's what Somanath translates as. So the Lord of the Moon has literally taken India all the way to the moon, but it is a team effort by Team ISRO, over 1,000 engineers involved with it. Now that Pragyan is on the surface and started its job, I am very happy, and so will India and so will the world. Great feeling.
With the soft touchdown, India becomes the first country to land a probe at the moon's south pole, where ice could provide water, oxygen and fuel for future missions. Now, to better understand what's next for Chandrayaan-3, we have with us on the broadcast Professor Dibyendu Nandi, Head of the Centre of Excellence in Space Sciences, India. Also on the broadcast with us, D. Raghunandan, researcher from the Delhi Science Forum. Professor Nandi, no disputing that this is an exciting moment for Indian space exploration, but the polar regions of the moon, many parts lie in a completely dark region without sunlight, and we're told temperatures can go below 230 degrees Celsius. Does this create difficulty in the operation of instruments for us?
Good morning, first of all, and good morning to our two little friends on the moon that we have since yesterday. So the polar regions are mostly dark because of the tilt of the moon. And the advantage of that, of course, is that you expect to find ice in the polar regions, which you can mine and you can use for a lunar base. But given the extreme temperatures, the very low temperatures that polar regions can plunge down into, this could be a problem for the instruments, for the electronics that is there in the rover and the lander. And this is one of the reasons that you don't really have a very large or a long lifetime for the instruments. We really have 14 days. You know, the sun is rising on the lunar south pole today, and it's going to set in 14 days. And so the mission was perfectly timed to land in a way that we get all of those 14 days to get our science and the work done.
Right, the mission was perfectly timed indeed, it seems. D. Raghunandan, now with the Chandrayaan-3, India has also demonstrated familiarity with the major types of interplanetary spacecraft, orbiters, landers and rovers. That's a huge technical feat, right?
Indeed. And I think that is the main reason why scientists and technologists in this country are particularly excited about this stage that India has reached, which is very important because in the first 30 or 40 years of India's space programs, we were essentially looking inwards at the Earth through remote sensing satellites, low Earth orbit missions, communications satellites, and so on. In the past close to 2 decades, India's space program has started looking outwards. We are now slightly better off as a country. We can afford slightly more investment in curiosity-driven science, and going to the moon is one of the major steps in that direction. The orbiter, the lander, and the rover are all instruments which will help us in achieving the objectives of discovering new knowledge from the moon, knowledge about not only the moon but about the universe, the origins of the moon, etc. And these technologies, which Chandrayaan-3 has demonstrated, the ability to land softly on an extraterrestrial body and the ability to deploy a rover, will not only be important for the moon, but will be important in years to come in exploring other planets like Mars, etc. And these technologies will form the nucleus or the basis on which further technologies will be developed. Therefore, the importance of Chandrayaan-3 is not just in Chandrayaan-3, but in what it portends for the future space programs of India.
Indeed. Professor Nandi, then taking a broader view of time, Chandrayaan-3 actually sits at a very important juncture because India is also now a member of the Artemis Accords.
Right. I mean, this is a cathartic moment for India and its place in the world. I mean, you could think of it as a mission. The success of the Chandrayaan-3 mission opens up the doors for having India right in front, where the information, the science that we gather from the Chandrayaan-3 mission, the lander and the rover, will now help guide and inform the missions from the US, from other countries who are part of the Artemis Accord. So it really places India in a pole position. We are the first country, let's not forget that. We are the first country to reach the lunar south pole. This is amazing and a resounding validation of the science and technology investments of our governments.
Right. D. Raghunandan, India is also looking forward to its first mission to the International Space Station next year in collaboration with the US as part of agreements between our Prime Minister and the US President last month. What are your thoughts?
Yes. So there will be several missions that follow Chandrayaan-3, not necessarily to the moon, like the International Space Station, for example, the Aditya L1 mission. I think as part of the global community and as part of a relatively small group of nations with such capabilities as we have demonstrated, there are challenges and responsibilities that fall on India. The challenges for us are on the technological side to develop heavier launch vehicles, to improve our lander capabilities, including the weight of the lander and therefore of instruments it can carry. And the next step will be to develop a returnable lander, a lander which can land on the surface, come back to an orbiter and head back to Earth. These will be very important developments towards which we will make. But I would also like to point to, since you mentioned the Artemis Accords, we've heard the Prime Minister when he greeted the nation after the success of Chandrayaan-3, and he reminded the people of India as well as of the world that this is a success not just for India, but for all of humanity.
Indeed.
And I think India has a very important role to play there in the international community and among spacefaring nations to ensure that space is treated as a common good. The moon and other extraterrestrial objects are treated as places for the common good to develop knowledge for the benefit of all humanity. And I think India can play a big role also in emphasizing that the moon and other extraterrestrial bodies should not be utilized for commercial exploitation, mineral exploitation, which may have destructive potentials in the future. I think that would be a major responsibility that falls on India's shoulders.
Absolutely. Well, the global space launch market is expected to grow from the current $9 billion this year to more than $20 billion in 2030. And Chandrayaan-3 signals the launch of India's time in space exploration. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on the broadcast. We'll keep tracking all the latest developments for you on NDTV 24/7. We're stepping into a very short break for now. Well, as Rover Pragyan rolled out with the Vikram lander, India celebrated Chandrayaan-3 success. Take a look at Sam Daniel's report.
How do you feel now?
I feel good.
Was it exciting to watch the Chandrayaan make its landing on the moon?
Yes.
Would you want to become a space scientist sometime? Yes? What's that you like about Chandrayaan?
It landed on the moon.
When you watched the Chandrayaan land on the moon, what went in your mind?
I was so happy, sir.
What does it mean for India?
India is a proud state.
It's a proud country.
Yes, sir.
It's a proud country and we are proud people. For
Would any of you want to become a space scientist?
Yes, sir.
Because?
Because I have interested in space. I have many ideas to research.
It's an emotional moment for not me, for all of us in India. It makes us proud.
What's the lesson from this experience? After a failure, they worked hard and they made it.
No, that was not a failure. That was, that was something like they wanted to do something, they did it. Like, you don't call the mission as like whatever they're going through, right? That's a very different story. We see it differently, they see it differently, right? Like, so, yeah. So, Chandrayaan mele, landanadu moonukku mele, kondadudu thedudu onna hoya hoy, adu enna hoy.
Thank you very much. So, many are celebrating in Chennai along with little children. In Chennai with Suresh, Sam Daniel, for NDTV.
As always, news and updates continue on NDTV 24/7. For now, we're taking a very quick break. Welcome back. Search and rescue operations are on in Mizoram. As per the state government sources, at least 23 people are feared dead. 18 bodies have been recovered till last evening. But 3 injured have also been recovered, including a railway engineer. But among the dead are 6 from one single family. According to railway sources, at least 30 people were working in the part of the bridge that collapsed. It is a partial collapse of the bridge, and this bridge had about 30 construction workers on it. The state government, disaster management quick reaction teams NDRF, BSF and local volunteers of the Young Mizo Association are currently carrying out the search and rescue operations. Rathadeep Chaudhary has further details for us.
That's right. In fact, this morning the search and rescue operation has once again started. Remember, it's a multi-agency search and rescue operation which is taking place there at Sairang, which is a very difficult terrain, about 21 kilometer away from Mizoram's capital Aizawl. And the search and rescue operation is being carried out where the state agencies are there. You have the NDRF, you have the BSF helping them, and most importantly, what we can put out for our viewers is that the state government has confirmed that they have been able to retrieve 18 bodies. In fact, all the bodies have been identified as well. Unfortunately, they are all from Malda town. They are migrant workers from Malda town in West Bengal, in Malda district rather. And what we are hearing is that there are 6 of them who are related to each other, maybe from the same family. That's what people are saying. And also one railway engineer and 2 other people who were injured have been rescued. Now they are being treated in the hospital. The postmortem is being carried out since last evening. So and what official sources are telling us that they have spotted more bodies which will be recovered. So this death toll might actually go up, because in all there were about 30 odd people working there at the site when this incident took place. Remember, the bridge did not collapse totally. It's not a total collapse of the bridge. It's a partial collapse of the bridge. So what exactly happened between 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. yesterday was that these bridges are coming up in a very difficult terrain, and while they were putting the girders, the gantry of the bridge collapsed.
Well, in other crucial news, the centre has announced major changes in the education system in line with the new education policy 2024. The Ministry of Education has said that board exams will be conducted twice a year, with students allowed to retain their best score. It's also said that students of class 11 and 12 need to study 2 languages, and at least one of them must be Indian. But according to the ministry, in order to make the board exams easier than the current high-stakes practice, the examination will assess the understanding and achievement of competencies rather than months of coaching and memorizing. Also, the choice of subjects in classes 11 and 12 will not be restricted to streams such as arts, science and commerce, in order to give flexibility to students to choose. Meanwhile, let's get you a quick update from South Africa, where the 15th BRICS summit concludes today. Well, Prime Minister Modi attended the leaders' retreat along with his counterparts from China, South Africa and Brazil. As per reports, India took the lead in forging consensus on the selection of new members in the 5-nation grouping BRICS. And in his address at the summit in Johannesburg, Prime Minister Modi said India is, according to highest priority to the issues of countries of the global south under the G20 presidency. In fact, the Prime Minister added he hoped that India's proposal to accord permanent membership of the G20 to the African Union will be supported by all the BRICS nations.
Excellency, Deputy President.
Welcome back. The vibrant festival of Onam is not merely a harvest festival. At the heart of the celebration lies the idea of community dining and a grand feast called the Onam Sadhya. NDTV's Arun Singh went on to experience a Sadhya. Here's how his experience was.
Namaskaram, Ona Shamsakal. On the occasion of Onam, I have especially learned this to greet my friends. I'm Arun Singh and today we explore Sadhya at Mahabali. Assemble the items on your Sadhya as shown, and then the Sadhya leaf should face this way on my left. I'm doing it right. Let's also unpack some cultural nuances. For that, we have Zach from Mahabali with us. A very warm welcome to NDTV. Thank you. Happy Onam.
Happy Onam to you too. We call it Ona Shabsagal in Malayalam. So Onam is for us Malayalis culturally the most significant event. Even though Onam has its roots in Hindu mythology, this is a festival which is celebrated by every Malayali, whether you are in Kerala or outside.
It's a very cultural thing.
Yes, yes.
And what about Sadhya?
So the culmination of this 10-day festival ends with the Onam Sadhya. Onam Sadhya is also like a feast It is a feast suitable for a king.
Is there a fixed number of dishes that you have to have?
The more the better. A good-looking sadhya should have at least 20 dishes. Starting with a little bit of salt and spicy, salt and sweet dishes. And then you have the different types of banana chips, followed by inji puli. So this is supposed to awaken your taste buds. Followed by multiple dishes starting with kalan, olan, different types of pickles, pachadi, kichadi, cabbage thoran, kootu. So myriad of dishes.
Okay, so the rule is that you start eating from the left, and of course the palate also keeps changing. We start with something salty and sweet, but then it goes to sour, and in the end we wrap with a dessert. Okay, Sadhya is a marathon. I'm just halfway there, and now it's time to enjoy the second delicacy. This would be sambar and rice.
So the heart of the meal is the aspect of community dining, the whole idea of everyone sitting together, followed by a lot of cultural activities. So you have like different types of dance forms, games, activities which are done. So it's a meal. I like
and it's essentially a vegetarian meal as well, because it's a temple meal.
So it's traditionally the sadhya is a vegetarian meal, and it's also part of the harvest festival. Like Onam is a harvest festival. So you have different kinds of seasonal produce, vegetables.
It's so satisfying. I think I'll need a nap after this. Sir, bed bhi aapke yahan pe? Any pro tip that you have to offer?
Eat it with your hands. That's the best way to enjoy the sadhya.
And now icing on the cake, or should I say chach on the sadhya. I had already confessed that I need a nap after this. With camera person Manoj Thakur and Prerna Karta, this is Arun Singh signing off. Please excuse me.